Alright, let me dig deep into my collection and share some of this with you. Hello friends, welcome back to CJC. Ever since that CJ20 video came out, quite a few of you guys have shown interest in IEMs. So for this one, I dug out all the good and bad IEMs I've bought over time, borrowed a few from my friends, and finally put together this sharing session. To be honest, even though this channel mainly focused on the TWS recommendations, so since I started this channel back in August last year, it's been nearly a year since I seriously messed around with the hi-fi white earbuds. So faced with some really expensive gear, I'm just the regular guy now. I can't exactly recommend those to you. So at this point, I'm just someone with a bit of stash and a past life as a deep hobbyist. Anyway, luckily, the IEMs don't iterate that fast as the TWS these days. In the following content, if my impressions or the evaluations of certain IEMs differ from those of the professional hi-fi reviewers you follow, please trust them instead. Because even when I watch their videos, I sometimes find expressions that don't match my own listening experience, and I just can't fake consistency to sound correct. And also, since this is a recommendation, I won't mention the medical ones. If you're interested, maybe later I will do an episode called IEMs that made me bleed. And besides, because of the original pricing, I can give you accurate price references. So we won't mention prices today, and we will go from the cheapest upward. Okay, enough rambling, let's get started. And let's start with the NICEHCK second generation, the YD30 flathead earbuds. I didn't believe it at first. How good could this thing be? Then I bought a few, maybe 9, and found the quality control is like a lottery. Those with sharp ears can hear some channel imbalance, but at this price, I have to forget it, because the ones that are good are really good. The atmosphere even beats their own more expensive models. And next is the NICEHCK DB2. Its only flaw is that the treble can be a little sharp occasionally, but purely in terms of the sound quality, I think it's better than the second generation, the YD30. At this price, buying the TWS basically just gets you nothing. But buying an IEM at this level, you could literally stop right here and be satisfied. I'm not kidding. And then the NICEHCK String Snow. The sound quality is pretty much top of this price range. Solid, enjoyable, a very traditional but good sounding pop tuning, comfortable to wear, a great all-rounder for daily use. Not many people recommend this one, and though it's a bit of a hidden gem. There's also a DSP version with a mic, which is basically the selling here. And then the Nightingale Type-C version. Many of you have asked me for cheap sleep earbuds. I really can't think of any in the TWS world this cheap, but the white Nightingale does a decent job. The sound is punchy, and even at low volumes it holds up well. Great for some relaxing music before bed. As a daily driver, it's okay. And then the truthear gate. I can't believe that a year has passed and the gate is still standing tall at this high. This IEM has great coherence. The only downside is that they no longer include the little wire figure. That's a bit of letdown. And also, no USB-C adapter is included, so you will need to provide your own. And sound-wise, the bass presence clearly overshadows the treble. And then the Tangent AI DSP. No complaints about the value. However, the highlight of this one is that the app supports EQ adjustment. The official instrument boost EQ works well. It's rare to hear clean and clear instrumental sound under maybe $30. Community EQ sharing as to the phone. The downside is that the iOS and the Harmony OS aren't supported yet. And then the NICEHCK Blue Hats, the EB2S Pro, 3.5mm with mic DSP flathead. First, I want to apologize to those who asked me for flathead recommendations before. I completely forgot to buy this one. I didn't expect it to sound this good. Full, satisfying bass and very little leakage, and overall very balanced. But be careful, don't buy the 4.4mm version, the treble gets harsh. And then the moondrop True 2 DSP. Many people asked about the quality control, is it worth it? And my take is that any high volume product will have its quality control issue magnified. And the fact that it still sells well means the core product is good and the tuning is likable. A typical V-shaped style. The treble is a little sharp, so it's better for female vocals. And then the roseselsa Aurora Ultra Hi-Fi version. The 1 dynamic driver and 1 planner configuration at this price is pretty good value. The sound is neutral, solid, and fairly easy to listen to. But I feel that after roseselsa moved into TW's world, their wired products seem a bit neglected, missing the feature like the DSP, lacking compared to the competitors. Still, the hardware is there and the intention is clear. And then the CVG nickel. Maybe because I've been listening to too many TWs, I found the nickel's bass not as overwhelming as I expected. Actually, it's pretty nice. The bass extension and the decay are well tuned, and the mids are smooth and the treble is average. Again, no adapter or case included, but the build quality is forgivable at this price. The Fuel Lian 2 Type-C with mic, and this C-port IEM is actually better suited for gaming. It has a noticeable boost in certain frequencies, which helps with the gunshot, the reload, and footsteps. But for everyday listening, it's just okay, not offensive. Definitely not the hi-fi plus the gaming dual champion some reviewers claim. And still, it's a nice versatile piece and comfortable to wear. And then the simgot AW200 DSP with mic. After the price drop, this one is kind of the competitor of the Lian 2. I don't understand why they market it towards gaming. A large soundstage is actually bad for gaming because positioning feels floating. But switch to music listening, and it's a great IEM with strong instrumental presence and high sound quality. And then the Vega M200 Flathead. This seems a relatively obscure brand and model, but it actually has a clear tuning philosophy and design. The M200 is my top recommendation for pop music at this price in the flathead category. The bass is a little light, but the vocals are clear and bright without being in your face, and you can listen for hours without fatigue. And the soundstage size and instrument separation are both excellent. That said, I don't use it often. Flatheads just torture my ears. And then the Moondrop Lian 2 pop version. After trying both the vocal version and the pop version, I quickly settled on the pop. The vocal version feels like a smaller soundstage version of the Area 2 with less prominent vocals. The pop version has a clearer identity, thicker and more powerful, with great atmosphere, much better suited to today's pop music preference. And then the truthear Zero Blue 2. This one is seriously attention-grabbing. If a beginner goes to a store and tries it, unless they've heard 100 other IEMs, they will be hooked right away. The bass is strong and punchy, more than several others I've mentioned later. It even comes with an impedance adapter, which basically tells you this IEM is all about stable bass and a neutral soundstage. The adapter is there to tame the treble and sibilance. And then the roseselsa Quasi 2 Gaming Edition. This is one of the few IEMs that can work both as a gaming headset with a sound card and as a music IEM without one. Without the sound card, it sounds like the Titan S2 with the richer treble detail. Great value. If you like full bass and detailed treble, you can even use it with the sound card for music. And then the dunu Titan S2 and the simgot EA500LM and the moondrop Area 2. I will talk about these three together. They've been top sellers for years now, and most IEMs fans have heard of them. Putting them side by side should help you decide. The first, the EA500LM bass. I think there shouldn't be the fourth booming bass criticism. It's a cold, sharp-sounding IEM. I'd rather you say its treble scratches glass, but it doesn't. The treble is bright but not harsh, with tons of detail. It's exciting, but fatigue sets in quickly. My opinion hasn't changed in 2 years. Good, but not for long sessions. And then the Titan S2 is all about playing it safe. But now, the hi-fi market is so competitive that the former king isn't necessarily the king anymore. Still, it's enjoyable, a safe choice. The bass is a little heavy, but I think it's only a common for those who haven't tried more expensive IEMs. If you have, you might find the soundstage is a bit narrow and the imaging unnatural. And then the Area 2 has more prominent vocals than the other two, and a wider soundstage. The downside is instrument separation isn't ideal. Sometimes you need to turn up the volume or use more power to hear the instruments clearly, which leads to the ear fatigue. So to sum these three up, if you just want a thrill, pick the EA500LM for that wow factor. If you live for vocals, pick the Area 2. And if you can't decide between them, want a bit of everything, and don't have golden ears, just pick the Titan S2. And then the Sonic Mirror SW500H. If the EA500LM is about bright, crisp mid to highs, the SW500H is about thick and weighty bass to meet. The overall density is good. Even with a lot of bass, it's not tiring. It's solid, and the sibilance control is good. It's just that the confidence seems a bit lazy. And the Vega Tree UTG, the quality is fine, but does it clearly outperform the previous tier? Not really. The bass is moderate and the vocal slightly forward. Tuning is delicate and soft. Beginners will probably love it on the first listen. And downside is there is no USB-C adapter included, and the Dunu Kima 2 Plus adapter, a versatile, easy-listening IEM. Overall, warm. There are many reviews coming from veteran audiophiles, but for newcomers, it can be seen as a mild U-shape. Good for J-pop, rock, and electronic and western pop. And then the BGVP DX7 Plus adapter, and it's a flathead. Listeners with more aggressive taste might not like this laid-back sound. The DX7 is a solid, warm flathead. The more you listen, the more you will appreciate it. The bass is abundant, especially with foam tips. And then, the EPZ P40. I don't think such a bright treble IEM is good for gaming. The planar, the driver needs a good source. It sounds quite different from their own P50, more J-pop and female vocal oriented. Problem is, it's something when overpowered, and when properly driven, the vocal brightness becomes harsh. It doesn't look good though. And then the Dunu Falcon Ultra. It feels like every time we talk about the high-end IEMs, we have to mention this one. I'm almost worried people will think I'm overhyping it. But this IEM is right the honey cake I can't forget. When I first started going to meet up and talking the gears with friends many years ago, my mentor pulled out his Falcon Ultra, and back then I had no idea how special it was. But it just grabbed me. And after that, many other IEMs just didn't hit the same. Even years later, the Falcon Ultra's string instrument reproduction is still natural and refined. It doesn't artificially boost the treble harmonics. And the single dynamic driver sound is clear, open, and bright, more characterful than many more expensive IEMs. As long as you don't primarily listen to a lot of vocals, this one is a great IEM. And then the NICEHCK NXH. Compared to the Falcon Ultra, the NXH has more coloration and more sibilance and a crisper attack. It's more vocal focused, and its low to mid performance is hard to dislike. The stainless steel nozzle sounds even better, crispy to the core, like the rawness that lasts till the end. And then the simgot Super Mix 5. Contrary to my previous impression of simgot as cold and sharp, the Super Mix 5 is a smooth, versatile all-rounder. The 3 bands are seamless, and the bone conduction, the treble harmonies are natural, no unnecessary flashiness. The downside is it's source dependent, otherwise the treble can sound dark. And the tangent force, maybe because I've listened to too many mid-to bass focused IEMs, I can really accept the force's treble. It's unbearable for metal and the instrumental role. The vocals and bass are fine, and the soundstage is average. Using larger bore ear tips helps taming the treble, but still not recommended for heavy metal fans. And then the Dunu Vulcan 2. The dynamics and the transient are immediately impressive, and you can listen for a long time without fatigue, thanks to its non-aggressive treble. And the downside is that the transient are so strong that the bass becomes too dry, losing some atmosphere. If you like slow, emotional ballad, maybe not for you. So to ramp it up, at the entry level, the NICEHCK still rules the value for money throne. The next tier is where gaming and entry-level hi-fi diverge, move higher, and you will cover most people's daily listening needs. And at the high end, diminishing returns kick in hard. Every small improvement requires double the investment in both the source gear and wallet. So enjoying hi-fi is a matter of budget and preference. Understanding your own ear is more important than reading frequency response curves. I hope you all find that the one IEM that lets you rest in peace within your budget. So alright, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for sticking with me. Hope this video brings you some help. See you next time. Good one, Jessie.